This year they went back to the East versus West format, and I was excited. And I sat down on my couch to watch this game, and I was super excited to watch the competitiveness and watch like the greatest players in the world play, in essence, a pickup game. But what I watched was awful. Welcome back to the Therapist Reacts series. If this is your first time here, this is the series where I talk about things going on in pop culture and highlight the psychological aspects so that we can have better and improved mental health. Now today I want to talk to you about the All-Star game that just happened in the National Basketball Association, the NBA. And I want to start off by telling you I was really excited about this year's All-Star game. Growing up as a child, I looked forward to the All-Star game. It was East versus West. It was always like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale on the East team, and like Magic Johnson and all of those amazing, Akeem Olajuwon and all those amazing players on the West. And they competed, and there was a lot of pride in the East versus West mentality as they were playing. And more recently, that has waned, and the game has become much less competitive, and they started having like team captains. So instead of East versus West, it was like Team LeBron versus Team Durant, because those were the captains, and they picked their team, and it was a jumble of East versus West players. And I did not enjoy that. This year, they went back to the East versus West format, and I was excited. And I sat down on my couch to watch this game, and I was super excited to watch the competitiveness and watch like the greatest players in the world play, in essence, a pickup game. But what I watched was awful. It was halftime, and one of the teams had already scored 100 points. And I didn't really watch it much more after that. I think it was horrible to watch. No competitiveness whatsoever. As fans, we want to watch people compete. And all we saw was unbelievable athletes running up and down the field, just doing ridiculous athletic feats. And those feats in and of themselves are amazing. But when they happen in the context of competition, it is unbelievable. And this game has removed competition, and now you have people running up and down the court for no reason. Like it's not benefiting anybody. There's no like motivation there. There's no will to win. There's none of those things that compel us, the fans, to watch that game. And it was unbelievably disappointing. It was unbelievably unentertaining. It just wasn't a good experience. It made me think about motivation and effort and how a lot of us lose effort for things we're no longer motivated to do. It was hard to watch that on the grand scale of athletic competition, but I did start to realize like this happens to people all over the place where they are no longer as motivated as they once were to do certain things, and that impacts their effort. And that's what we're seeing today. In the past, there was a competitive motivation in that East versus West mentality. And because of free agency, players don't spend their whole career in the East or their whole career in the West. Because of free agency, they just mix around a lot. And that motivation has waned, and that has drastically impacted their effort and their desire to win. In an interview before his death, obviously, the late Kobe Bryant highlighted that there needs to be a change. And he talked about how he used to want to win this game and lost very few of them. And I really think that there needs to be a tweak to this game. I really think there needs to be a tweak to this environment so we can increase competition and increase effort.
I think the All-Star game in general needs a little revamping because it used to be competitive.
Yeah.
It used to be competitive, and like, you know, fans want to see the best pickup game in the world. That's what this is. They don't want to see you running up and down and dunking and doing all this crazy. Like, they want to see what happens when you get this collection of best basketball players on the planet, and they play and they go head up against each other.
Man,
I mean, you guys play harder at a pickup game in UCLA.
For real.
And ain't billions of people watching.
For real.
Definitely do.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely do.
They gotta
So I
turn
think
it
the
up.
All-Star game needs a little changing. I always love competing in them. I didn't lose many of them.
Nah,
me
you
and
was
CP
one.
used to
Nah,
talk
you
all
was
the
one
time.
of the
like, hold on.
ones. You took it serious.
Yeah, we went. Like, I don't think me and CP, when we played together in the All-Star game, I don't think we've ever lost a game.
Yeah.
And we used to look at each other and say, okay,
Going serious.
Let's
They
go.
don't want to play, we gonna play.
fourth quarter, let's go get them.
I know this example is just from sports, but I also think it highlights greater things in the world. And I also believe as humans, we get inspired by watching athletes do amazing things. Like, I can remember being inspired by watching Michael Jordan do things. I remember being inspired by watching Isaiah Thomas in 1980, whatever year it was, 86, I think. He sprained his ankle. And for the rest of the game, he's running on that ankle with a drastic limp, overcoming the challenges in front of him and winning the game. I think sports play a massive role in the overall American culture. So as we watch these really amazing athletes not compete and not put forth effort, it trickles down to society. So I know we're talking about sports, but I think it's a bigger issue here because they need to show us the example of working really hard to overcome the challenge and overcome the obstacle and become victorious. It inspires us to do the same in our world. It inspires us to do the same in our lives. And lots of us, we have jobs we don't like. Some circumstances in our worlds have changed and impacts our motivation, impacts our effort, impacts our will to succeed. And when you watch other people display their will to succeed, it has a massive impact on us. And I think this is a missed opportunity. And that's why I think it's actually bigger than sports. That's why I think it's bigger than just that. I think we need this to stand for much more and stand for something much bigger. Now, the easiest way to rekindle something you once had a passion for is to spend some time thinking about what it was that you once loved about it. And look, sometimes we grow out of something and we just no longer have a passion for it. When I was a child, I loved baseball. I wanted to play baseball every single day of my childhood. And now as an adulthood, my passions have shifted. I'm now interested in other things. I read a lot more than I did as a child. I write a lot more than I did as a child. I like to do public speaking. You know what I mean? Like, you have other areas of passion that take over. But if possible, if it's something you have to continue doing, you have to rekindle that passion by remembering why you loved it in the first place. I think the biggest reason we fall out of love with things is we forget why we loved it in the past. I think money must be impacting the performance of these athletes because why they loved it in the past, the reason they started playing basketball is because they love to compete. And they love the artistry of the game, and they love the strategy of the game, and they love doing this thing in a competitive way. But now they're making tens of millions of dollars per year. Even like the average player makes tens of millions of dollars per year. So it's hard for them to get really motivated when now there is just so many other things happening in their lives that are huge distractions. When I watch the game, like they turn the court into art, like video graphics were on the court. Like, the world has just gotten bigger and more distracting. So if you want to rekindle the love for something, you've got to change what motivates you, and you've got to remember what it is that you loved about this thing in the first place. And the other thing I'll say, I'm going to give my suggestion on what they need to do to fix this game. And I think what they need to do is add some weight on what happens to the winner. So, for example, in Major League Baseball, they had a similar problem where people did not care about the All-Star game. And at one point, the All-Star game ended in a tie, which was unbelievable. Just to give you some context, there was a baseball player who used to play in the 60s and 70s. I can't remember his name. But the National League was always blue, and the American League was always red. And in baseball, the All-Star game was American League versus National League. This particular player would only sign his autograph in blue ink because he identified as the National League. And then all of a sudden, they lost motivation for that game, up to and including when it ended in a tie. So then they decided they're going to make it so the winner of that game, whether it's the National League or the American League, gets home field advantage in the World Series. And now you have the players really working hard because everybody wanted to be home field if their team were to make it to the World Series. So they need to do something like that. The winner of the East versus West game in the NBA will get the incentive of going to, or will get the incentive of having home court advantage in the NBA Finals. Or maybe put a financial reward on the winner. That actually worked this season for the in-season tournament. Every player on the winning team of the in-season tournament got $500,000. And you would think these guys have tens of millions of dollars, but that was enough to motivate them. So we need to do something to add some weight on what happens to the winner if we want this game to matter. That's also true in life. If you want things to matter in your life, you've got to be able to reward yourself when you succeed, and you've got to be able to use that as your driver. There's a lot of people that are like I'm going to work out really hard, and if I can get through this whole week working out really hard and eating well, I can have a cheat day during the weekend. Like, those things really work to keep you motivated, and I hope that the NBA implement some of these things so that the motivation comes back and the game becomes wildly entertaining as it used to be. And it's going to have to be competitive in order for that to happen. And I hope in your life, if you've lost love and passion for something, I hope you'll take some of the information here in this video and use it to rekindle your love too. So thank you so much. Please leave a comment. What did you think of the All-Star game? Did you watch the All-Star game? Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. Also, let me know what you thought of this video. And before you go, please hit that like button on this video. Please share this video and also subscribe to this YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified each and every time we release a video on this channel. I promise you don't want to miss them. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video.